All right, the top story on left, right and centre this evening. The BJP has pulled out a series of union ministers and chief ministers to take on the Congress's Rahul Gandhi over his statement that the Modi government was sleeping while China is preparing for war. BJP leaders on Saturday came out in droves to accuse Rahul Gandhi of questioning the valour of the Indian army because he had said that Indian jawans were being beaten up by the Chinese in Arunachal Pradesh. Today, the defence minister also took an indirect dig at the Congress leader for, as he put it, doubting the government's handling of the border row with China. Rajnath Singh commended the Indian Army for showing unmatched bravery, as he put it, during the Galwan Valley clash and the recent incident at Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh. Accusing the government of turning a blind eye to a serious threat from China, Rahul Gandhi on Friday said that China was preparing for a war against India. The Congress and other opposition members have been demanding a discussion on the border issue and India's foreign policy. The government has been, some would put it, cagey perhaps. Parliament chairpersons have cited rules and conventions to not allow a discussion on, quote, such sensitive issues.
चाहे गलवान हो तो तवांग, हमारी सेना ने जिस शौर्य और पराक्रम का परिचय दिया है, जिस शौर्य और पराक्रम का परिचय दिया है, उसकी जितनी भी प्रशंसा की जाए वह कम है। मैं बहुत ही विनम्रतापूर्वक निवेदन करता हूं कि हमने भी कभी किसी अपोजिशन के लीडर के इंटेंशन पर कभी क्वेश्चन मार्क नहीं लगाया। पॉलिसीज को लेकर हमने डिबेट किया है। राजनीति सच बोलकर ही की जाती है, झूठ बोलकर लंबे समय तक राजनीति नहीं की जा सकती।
कांग्रेस पार्टी के वरिष्ठ नेता पूर्व अध्यक्ष राहुल गांधी का बयान अत्यंत ही अमर्यादित, बचकाना और राष्ट्र विरोधी तत्वों को प्रेरित करने वाला अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर भारत और भारत की बहादुर सेना को अपमानित करने वाला है। हम उनके इस बयान की निंदा करते हैं।
ये सिर्फ ध्यान बांटने के लिए इस प्रकार के बयान दिए जाते हैं और उनको राहुल गांधी जी की जो भारत जोड़ो यात्रा है उससे घबराहट पैदा हो चुकी है। उस घबराहट के तहत पूरे देश में जो उनको भारत यात्रा में जो लोग जुड़ रहे हैं उस दृष्टिकोण से इस प्रकार के बयान देते हैं। सैनिकों को, अगर हिंदुस्तान के सैनिकों को नुकसान पहुंचाया है, अगर उन्होंने इस बात को किया तो इसमें एंटी नेशनल क्या हो गया? कोई ऐसी चीज बताइए कि एंटी नेशनल की।
All right, so political row of Rahul Gandhi's China comments. Tawang triggers off a political war cry. Joining us on this, Supriya Sreened, national spokesperson of the Congress, chairperson of the social media and digital platforms, Ranveer Singh Patania, spokesperson of the BJP, and Lieutenant General Satish Dua, retired former chief integrated defence staff. Mr. Patania, to you first. Thankfully, we had this clash at Tawang on the 9th. It didn't result in any fatalities. Some jawans, though, have been badly injured in this hours-long combat. They fought bravely. They pushed back the Chinese soldiers across the line of actual control. According to the defence minister in Parliament, both sides are disengaged. Local area commanders have held talks to restore peace and tranquility. The incident is being taken up through diplomatic channels, right? That's what the defence minister says. Now, on the face of it, though, sir, this is the most serious standoff between the two sides. It is the first violent contact between the two armies since the Galwan killings. Yes, it's been managed on both sides to prevent escalation, but the fact that it took place in the first place is not a good sign, Mr. Patania.
See, Madam Sara, the point remains that Indo-China relations, a hackneyed relations, a mismanaged, mismaneuvered and rather pampered set of relations, and only with the implicit consent of the existing regimes. I'll refer to you. I am a BJP spokesperson, but I am a Dogra and I belong to Jammu and Kashmir. I put a lead question to Congress that Jammu and Kashmir, the entire Jammu and Kashmir, it included Aksai, it included Gilgit, it included Baltistan. I remember my ancestors telling me that you should keep one thing in mind, that your ancestral bones and blood, they are splattered on the hills of Gilgit and Baltistan. I put a lead question to the Congress. I put a lead question to the successive regime as to why Aksai was handed over on a platter to China. I refer to the statement of Jawaharlal Nehru on the floor of the parliament, that not even a straw of grass grows in Aksai Chin. Aksai Chin is as good as a mini Bhutan, and it gives a direct access to Central Asia as well as New Delhi. So my point is that they have mismanaged. Who started Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai? Who said it? That the Defense Minister of India, Mr. A.K. Antony, said on the floor of the parliament that
all right, Mr. Patania, I'll go across to Ms. Srinath for that, but can we just not have to look so far back in history for now? Can we look at this week, where you had the Defense Minister in Parliament saying the intention of the Chinese was to change the status quo, to wrest the area from India? That means, it sounds like what the Defense Minister is saying, they're not interested in resolving border issues through talk. There are these transgressions we see by the PLA on the line of actual control. It's this constant nibbling and negotiating, like, attacking, pushing back, attacking, pushing back. Isn't that a problem, a concern for India?
Sir, I have to respond.
Yes, Mr. Patania.
Yes. I'm coming to it, Sarah. That in the recent years, I started with the history. In the recent years, the strengthening of Quad, the strengthening of border infrastructure, and the increased movement of India on South China Sea, and particularly lessening of trade. I have facts to quote that in the year 2000 till 2015, there was an exponential rise in the FDI from China as well as the Indo-China trade. Now the Indo-China trade has also dipped. The FDI investment from China has also dipped. We have banned TikTok and other frivolous applications running from the Chinese side. We have been very, very prompt and very, very proactive to employ all sets, all channels, all ploys to put China in space.
All right. I am for once glad that we're not going back. It's only taken the second question for us to actually look at what the government is doing right now and not going back 50 years back into history. So let's get the Congress spokesperson in here. So Priya Srinath, so you're hearing the BJP spokesperson pointing out the things that he says the government has done to handle this crisis, to handle the situation. Would you at least admit that, the Indian Army, given what happened in Galwan, has been anticipating that the PLA would activate the eastern sector of the LAC, and it's evident that steps were being taken to beef up military preparedness in the region?
So, Sarah, thank you very much for having me on the show, and very good evening to the viewers as well as the fellow panelists. The reality is you should never play around with facts, because fiction stands on very weak, slippery ground. Fact number one, the BJP spokesperson lied on 3 counts. I'm not going to go way back to 62. I'm going to talk about now. What did he say? Our dependence on China has decreased. Big lie. In 2014, the trade deficit with China was $36 billion. In 2022, it has gone up to $73 billion. More than doubled. You have made our dependence on China more than ever before. That's point number one that I wanted to point out. You said, frivolous apps like TikTok has been banned. Yes, you have increased our dependence on China. In some sense, you are funding what the army is doing at the borders for China. But, you lied. TikTok has been banned. But the PM Cares Fund has no objection whatsoever to accept 30 crore rupees from TikTok, and we don't know where that money has gone. So this is not just true for TikTok. This is true for Huawei. This is true for OnePlus. This is true for, Xiaomi, various companies from China. The PM Cares Fund has taken money and banned them just for, misleading the public. So lie number 2. Lie number 3, and this is a very important lie. He said, people were very close to China. Are Pradhan Mantri ji 18 baar China gaye. पिछले महीने नवंबर में he came face to face with Xi Jinping, left his chair, went running to meet Xi Jinping. He forgot, वो तो लाल आंखों की बात करते थे, शर्ट ही लाल पहन ली, भूल गए लाल आंखें दिखानी थी. I have only one question to ask of you. That is the only question that matters. After Ladakh, where in June 2020, 20 of our brave hearts died, the Prime Minister lied to the country saying कोई घुसा हुआ नहीं है. On the 20th of June 2020, what has been done to restore status quo ante? Forget about the Congress party. Forget about Rahul Gandhi.
Yes.
Your own MP from Arunachal, Tapir Gao, has said it in Parliament that China is building fortifications, that China is intruding, that China is acting truant. What are you doing about your own MP? He has been elected on a BJP ticket. At least answer to what he is saying. Stop lying to this country. And nobody,
All right.
Sarah, I want to take 10 seconds to say this. Not a soul in the Congress party doubts the valor and courage of our Indian army. But when the Prime Minister lies after the supreme sacrifice of 20 brave hearts, he breaks the morale of our valored forces. And that is what the BJP should be very, very particular about.
All right, Mrs. Patania, I'm going to give you a quick chance to respond, but many points raised here by the Congress spokesperson. First, please just respond at least on this. The fact that the Beijing has succeeded in de-linking the boundary dispute from bilateral relationships. Isn't that true? Because that's evident from these all-time high. We do have very high trade figures and we have a trade surplus in China's favor. That first point made by the Congress spokesperson, Supriya Srinath.
Sarah, I will.
Highest ever.
All right, Supriya, let him finish.
Please, Madam Supriya, I have not interrupted.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I'll refer to the figures quoted by IMF. Decline in imports. The trade between India and China, this is 2018-2019. Decline in imports. Trade fell by 48.66 billion. So, Madam, please don't lie. The FDI.
अरे 2022 का डेटा आ गया 2018 की बात कर रहे हैं.
Let him finish. We'll come back to you.
By your government.
You are telling a
Supriya
lie.
Srinath, please let him finish. Supriya
Your
Srinath.
leader says the entire country, the entire world have seen a live video, and your leader has the audacity to say कि army को मार पड़ेगा वहाँ पे. Your leader called Bipin Rawat. There's a
Patania, I am asking you a question.
Can we stick? Let's finish this one point about the trade surplus. Mr. Patania, you are saying that the trade surplus has gone down. Please finish that one point.
Sorry, Madam Supriya, you should say sorry, and you should take action against Mr. Rahul Gandhi.
You should say sorry for lying on national television. You just lied.
All right, I'm going to move across to Lieutenant General Satish Dua then, because both of you are not letting our viewers understand a word or get any information or facts from this discussion. So, Lieutenant General Satish Dua, just respond to that second point raised by Supriya Srinath. You had 16 rounds of talks, a disengagement took place in eastern Ladakh, but the status quo that prevailed in April 2020 has not been restored, right? China appears reluctant to hold further rounds of talks on those leftover problems.
Sarah, thank you for not allowing me to not get into the politics of it, because that's not my domain. Answering your question proper. In 2020, what happened in Eastern Ladakh is well known to everybody. We have 5 or 6 major flashpoints there. We've had 16 rounds of talks in which the diplomats, the representative of foreign ministry was also involved, and they were at lieutenant general level talks, and 1 or 2 of them were at major general level talks. 2 major flashpoints do remain, but the other flashpoints have been sorted out to the extent that the troops have moved away from an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation. And what happens in an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation is that you run the risk of some soldier shooting off a weapon or some soldier getting into a fisticuff with each other. So you stay at arm's length away. So some movement has been made over there. It is still work in progress because Demchok and Depsang do remain, and those talks are still going on. But let me just allow me to say, give me a few seconds to talk about what is happening in Tawang, what has happened in Tawang. I just want everyone, and of course, both the representatives have said that, both my esteemed co-panelists have said this part. The bravery of the Indian soldier should not be tarnished. Now,
That's not being questioned.
yes. So my point is, when a soldier risks his life on the LAC, whether it is Arunachal or Ladakh, or for that matter, even on the LOC, he does not differentiate between any community, any party, any groups or anything. He does it for the country, and he puts his life on the line always. And I think
so we are completely in agreement on that. I want to ask you, Lieutenant General Satish Dua, you have tweeted that China is testing waters. They perhaps want to see how well prepared we are on the LAC. They want us to focus more on land borders rather than the Indian Ocean. Indian Army is fully prepared to thwart any evil designs. We are in complete agreement with that last sentence. Let's not waste any time on this show on that. I just want to ask you, you have tweeted China is testing waters. What did you mean by that? And obviously that is something different. It is a change from the past, from the pattern, from the status quo.
Right. Give me 2 or 3 minutes. Firstly, when I say China is testing waters, China is trying to always test our preparedness, and that I say at operational and tactical level. I'm not talking about trade and other aspects, but at the operational level, they're trying to test our preparedness. Because, for example, at this incident, let me explain, at this incident in Arunachal near Tawang, what had happened is that they suddenly came in a very large strength. 300 is what we had been told, so, or approximately thereabouts. So when in that strength, our troops were less in number, we were able to react. So they're testing waters whether our reactions, our mobility, our infrastructure is matching up or not. When I said that they want us to remain land focused, they want our focus to remain on Arunachal Ladakh, so that the maritime domain, which is Indian Ocean and beyond, Indian Ocean and around, the Indo-Pacific, the Quad and everything else, that is where at the present moment, they don't want us to invest our time, attention and resources in that.
All right.
So
all right.
Point being, yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Patania, please respond. I'll come to you, Supriya Shrine. This incursion in Tawang on the 9th, a face-off with Indian soldiers, it is not the first. We've seen a pattern of past actions ever since President Xi came to power. That is in 2012. We've seen this aggressive approach. Depsang in April 2013, Chumar in October 2014, Doklam in August 2017, Eastern Ladakh in May 2020, now Tawang.
Sada, I think the Pradhan Mantri's one sentence that we want Shanti, lekin Shanti ke liye Shakti chahiye. The way defense forces and particularly the Indian Air Force have demonstrated on Talwan, I think that is one example of how India needs to assert. But one needs to take care of that Indo-China issue. This is too sensitive an issue to play politics over. Please, we shouldn't play politics over. We shouldn't question the bravery and valor of the armed forces, may it be Balakot, may it be surgical strikes, may it be the respect of General Bipin Rawat. We need to be united on one pedestal. We need to fight. We should say, I expect from Congress and all political parties, Honorable Prime Minister, you have the fullest support, you have the fullest stand. Go tough, stand up to this China.
All right, okay. Quick response, Supriya Shrine, we're out of time. So quick response to this last, the last point raised by the BJP spokesperson, expecting unquestionable support by the opposition, if I can put it that way. Go ahead.
That's precisely what we are saying. Go ahead and take on China. Go ahead and tell China this is not going to be tolerated. Go ahead and tell China. Name China at least. The Prime Minister refuses to take China's name. You think he's going to talk tough? The Prime Minister says, "Koi ghusa hua nahi hai. We are giving up our patrolling points and making them buffer zones." You think the world doesn't know about what is happening? And one second, जब डोकलाम हुआ था, तो ये पूछते थे कौन सा ammunition use हो रहा है? 26/11 में एक ही मुख्यमंत्री ने बाहर जाकर प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करी थी ताज के, और वो थे मोदी जी. What are you talking about? Go back, learn some history, also learn some relevance. And I think Mr. Patania has told the people here.
All right, we are completely out of time, but we will see the G20 summit taking place in a year. Hopefully there at least, or at least the lead up to that, we'll be able to find some way out of this constant incursions that we're seeing in these border skirmishes that we're seeing, quite serious border skirmishes. But thank you both. Thank you all, Lieutenant General Satish Dua too, for joining us on Left, Right and Centre. Bye-bye.